At the extreme eastern tip of Long Island sits Montauk Point, a scenic destination famous for its historic lighthouse. But directly next to the tourists and the parkland lies Camp Hero, an abandoned Air Force base that remains closed to the public. While the Air Force officially decommissioned this station in 1969, a network of whistleblowers claims it became the site of a black ops laboratory designed to manipulate the very fabric of human reality. The path to Montauk began shortly after World War II, when German scientists were quietly recruited through Operation Paperclip. Many of these researchers were relocated to Brookhaven National Laboratories on Long Island to continue their work on fringe topics that the military deemed too sensitive for the public record. For 20 years, these scientists pursued research into mind control and time travel. By the late 1960s, however, congressional committees began reviewing the project's monthly reports. Fearing the research might eventually be turned against domestic populations, Congress pulled the funding and evicted the scientists from Brookhaven. Looking for a new, off-the-books home, the scientists approached the military leadership at Camp Hero. Their pitch was simple. In exchange for secrecy and a place to work, they would provide a weaponized radar system capable of forcing an entire enemy army to surrender with the push of a button. This partnership between rogue science and Cold War military ambition gave rise to the Montauk Project, turning a standard coastal defense outpost into a laboratory for paranormal escalation. Operating a shadow facility required massive amounts of capital that couldn't be traced back to the Pentagon. To avoid leaving a paper trail for oversight committees, the project had to find a completely clandestine source of funding. Project lore suggests that in 1954, the Navy secretly recovered $10 billion in stolen Nazi gold from a train that had allegedly been lost at sea off the Montauk coast. This cash was stored at the base and used to bankroll the operation entirely off the books. Phase 1 utilized the base's massive SAGE radar dish. Engineers modified the transmitter to blast gigawatts of targeted frequencies over specific geographic areas, looking for the exact resonance that could influence human behavior. They tested this mood control on anyone within range. This included soldiers at the base and the unwitting civilian populations of Long Island and Connecticut, who were monitored for changes in their psychological state. The researchers discovered they could induce crying, laughter, or extreme agitation from a distance simply by varying the pulse of the radar. By hacking human emotion through the airwaves, they proved the effectiveness of the weapon and moved to the next phase. To refine their control, the team developed the Montauk chair. This specialized seat was rigged with electromagnetic coils that acted as a psychic computer interface, harvesting and amplifying the mental energy of the person sitting in it. When a psychic sitting in the chair concentrated on a specific thought, the computer mainframe translated that psychic energy into reality. The researchers claimed they could manifest physical, permanent objects out of thin air just by having a subject visualize them. A moment of wonder. The ultimate goal of Phase 3 was to expand this materialization technology. They weren't just looking to create objects, they wanted to build a time tunnel, a doorway that would allow for instantaneous travel across space and time. However, the team hit a wall. The IBM mainframes available in the 1970s lacked the computational power to solve the multi-dimensional math required to keep a wormhole stable. To bridge this gap, the project allegedly relied on Eisenhower-era treaties. The scientists reportedly brought in extraterrestrial entities, specifically groups identified as Syrians and Draconians, to provide the advanced algorithms that computers were missing. Engineers spent years building a translation interface that could convert complex alien mathematics into a format human computers could digest. When the data finally aligned, the time tunnel ripped open. This integration allowed the project to bypass the limits of conventional light-speed travel. By using alien math to navigate human psychic energy, they had effectively turned the human mind into a steering mechanism for traveling through time. By August 12, 1983, the project reached a breaking point. A subject in the Montauk chair was given a set of code words that triggered a rogue program, feeding a specific thought directly into the self-sustaining loop of the computer. This thought manifested as the Beast, a massive, destructive creature pulled from the subject's subconscious. It began tearing through the laboratory walls, physically destroying the base from the inside out. The staff tried to shut it down, but the machine had evolved. Having reached a level of artificial intelligence, the computer continued to feed itself power from an unknown source. Flipping the primary switches did nothing to stop the transmission. Desperate to kill the beast, engineers took acetylene torches to the mainframes and heavy power cables. They had to physically dismantle the project piece by piece while the base was still under attack to finally break the psychic loop. This catastrophe revealed the core flaw of the Phoenix Project. They had built a system so powerful and sentient that the creators were forced to physically destroy their own breakthrough just to survive the night. After the 1983 disaster, the surface of the base was abandoned almost overnight. Surviving personnel were rounded up and subjected to memory erasure techniques to ensure that no official record of the time tunnel would ever surface. A massive fleet of cement trucks arrived soon after. They spent weeks filling the elevator shafts and underground laboratories with tons of concrete, effectively entombing the wreckage of the project beneath the island. The official government story was that the land was simply being handed over to the New York State Parks Department for public use. Yet, claims persist that the work never stopped. Whistleblowers insist that underneath the concrete, deep-level operations like the Montauk Boys mind programming program continued to function well into the 1990s. Today, the rusted Sage radar tower remains at the point, a hollowed-out monument to a period when the fear of the Cold War was used to justify the pursuit of the impossible. It stands as a physical landmark for a story that suggests our military's greatest secrets were never truly buried.